1, 2, 3, 4.
I was alright for a while. I could smile for a while.
In common with pretty much every other song, this is slightly too high for me. Never mind. It's a classic from Roy Orbison that's been covered by all sorts of people over the years. But I'm going to focus on his original version, which is in the key of D. And honestly, it's not very difficult. There's a small handful of very simple chords. There's the odd bar chord here, I've got a G minor, there's also an F sharp minor in the chorus, but really it's not very tricky, and it's at quite a slow tempo. So let's just carve out the chords for the different sections, then we'll perhaps look at the strumming pattern that I was just playing there, and maybe we'll finish up by looking at some other details, including maybe some picking patterns that you could try to give it a slightly different approach. Okay, well we have 2 bars of D to begin with. And then we pick up the verse. And it's 4 more bars of D to begin with. I was alright for a while. I could smile for a while. Now we get another bar of D, but this kicks off a sequence of 4 chords that we're going to see in both the verses and the choruses, and it's this, and this is where it starts to get too high. But I saw you last night. You held my hand. Now we're going to D augmented, so whatever note you had there, or 2nd fret of the 3rd string needs to go up to the 3rd fret of the 3rd string. For me that means re-fingering the chord. But I saw you last night, you held my hand so tight. The G, as you stopped to say hello. Okay, to G minor. As I say, we'll see that same sequence in the chorus. In the verse, though, we actually stop on the G. I saw you last night, held my hand so tight as you stopped. And then the whole thing just literally stops there. That's a bit of word painting in the lyrics. Stop to say hello. And actually that melody, that's tricky to sing. Stop to say hello. Comes down to an E. And you could actually put an E in the bottom of that G minor chord. So I might do this. I'm actually playing an E minor 7 flat 5. I'm barring across the top 3 strings here on the 3rd fret with my 3rd finger, and I've got my 1st finger on the 4th string at the 2nd fret. E minor 7 flat 5, E half diminished, G minor 6 with E in the bass. I don't know, various things, but that's the shape. I prefer that because it gives me, it just helps support my voice, so that's what I might do. But I saw you last night, you held my hand so tight, stopped to say hello. I need all the help I can get to get that note. Now we get 1 more bar of D. Oh, you wish me well. And 2 bars of A7, and that's it for the verse. You couldn't tell that I'd been crying. Okay, so that's it for the verse. Let's just have that once through if you can bear it. Plus we'll tack on the 2 bars of D in the intro. I was alright for a while. I could smile for a while. But I saw you last night. You held my hand so tight as you stopped to say hello. Oh, you wish me well, you couldn't tell that I'd been. And if you thought I was struggling to sing in the verse, you wait till you hear what happens with the chorus. Okay, it's not so tricky, at least the singing is tricky, but the chords are fairly straightforward. D for a bar, F sharp minor for a bar, and then again D for a bar and F sharp minor for a bar. Then we get G, A7, G, A7. So let's have all of that, those first 8 bars. Crying over you, crying over you, then you
said so long, left me standing all alone, alone.
And now we get our familiar 4-bar sequence. Crying, 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 crying. Or again, you could do crying. And we get 2 bars of D, 2 of A7, and 2 of D to finish.
It's hard to understand, but the touch of your hand can start me crying.
Okay, I think I got away with it. The second verse is identical to the first verse, obviously different lyrics, except that at the end, instead of a bar of D and 2 bars of A7, we actually get 2 bars of D and 2 bars of A7. I'll sing you the whole of the verse for what it's worth.
I thought that I was over you, but it's true, so true. I love you even more than I did before, but darling, what can I do?
That's way too high. But it starts to build here, and that's really why we get these 2 bars of D, just to sort of soak up the space.
For you don't love me, and I'll always be crying.
And then he gets up there, which I am not going to do. I mean, I did, but I'm not going to carry on. All right, the second chorus takes us out, and this is really going to be a pain to sing, takes us out into the coda. And in fact, the lyrics for the second chorus are slightly different, not that that matters to the music, and I'm just going to go from the D augmented.
I'll be crying, 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 crying.
And now we get D for 3. I'm crying, cry to B minor, yeah. So that's just an A minor shaped bar on the 2nd fret. Now we get G for a bar, oh, A7 over, and half a bar each of D, A7, D, G.
You,
and that's it. That's the end of it. Towards the end, in the orchestra, there's this boom, 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 boom. And if you wanted to get something like that, maybe you'll strum those through.
crying, over you.
There's 1, 2, 3, and it stops there. Okay, that's the end of the song. If you were going to do that, well, look at a slightly more sustainable strumming pattern now, though, that we can use throughout the song, and this really matches pretty much the feel of the original. Okay, now I'm calling this a rumba rhythm. I don't know what they'd really make of that in Cuba, but this is my conception. Now, hopefully what you can hear is that I've got 2 down strums, one on the first beat and one on the second beat. But the one on the first beat is really minimal. I'm just stiffening up my strumming fingers. I'm strumming down with the backs of my second, possibly third fingers as well, and I'm just making that quite resistant. If you saw my recent video on Bowie's The Man Who Sold the World, it's exactly the same rhythm there, but at a different tempo, and it's got a very different feel for that. But that's it. I'm just digging in. If I happen to catch the 5th string, it just gives it a bit of oomph at the bottom end. But with the second beat, I'm starting it early and raking right across the strings there. So the top 4 or 5 strings for the D, because that 5th string is a legitimate note of that chord. And I'm taking enough time that you can really hear the individual strings. It gives us like a kind of guiro percussion thing. 1, 2. I have to start early because it takes a bit longer than usual, so to come out and end the strum at the beginning of the second beat, 1, 2. I have to start before the end of the first beat. Okay, that's it. Then I'm going to strum up, and that up strum is really just the top string or maybe 1 or 2 strings. Again, I'm stiffening up the thumb. I'm strumming up with the back of the thumbnail there. Strumming down silently on 3, and then a strum up. And again, on 4 and. So it's 1, 2 and 3 and 4 and. To create a slightly detached feel after the upstrums, which is what I want, I'm just going to relax the chord shape. It won't completely kill the strings, but that's what I've got for the strumming, and actually I'm going to do that pretty much throughout. It's quite a versatile pattern. But if you fancied a slightly more sedate, conventional ballad feel, maybe something like this. And there are a few things you could do here, but I'm picking in simple 8s. I've got my thumb for D obviously on the 4th string. Then my 3 picking fingers are up on the top 3 strings. I'm picking the 3rd string with my 1st finger, 2nd string with my 2nd finger, and then back to the 3rd string with my 1st finger. 1 and 2 and. And in the second half I'm going to repeat the same thing, but instead of picking the bass note, I'm going to pick the top string there with my 3rd finger. So it's going to be maybe something like that. Okay, well that's all I've got. We've had some strumming, we've had some picking, we've had some dreadful singing, and maybe now it's time for a playthrough. I hope you enjoyed that anyway, and thanks ever so much for watching. Hopefully, see you on the next one. Actually, just before we have a playthrough of the song, let me make a shameless plug for my brand new book, A Guide to Reading Music, that I've finished producing and is now on sale on Amazon. 80 gorgeous pages dedicated to setting out in step-by-step fashion how to read and write music notation, including tablature. We begin with the positions on the staff and the various note values, and we move on to time signatures and key signatures and articulation and all sorts of other clefs and various other details too. And the whole thing is accompanied by a video here on YouTube that gives you 100 different audio examples and all sorts of illustrations and tests your progress too. So if you were thinking of getting to grips with music notation and weren't quite sure how, I cannot recommend highly enough my new book. All right, let's play this song. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Bye.